And welcome to our live event with Congressman Morgan Griffith. Morgan Griffith was first elected to represent the 9th Congressional District of Virginia in the U.S. House of Representatives on November 2nd, 2010, and is currently serving his 4th term. Morgan is a member of the House of Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over some of the most important issues facing Virginia's 9th District, including public health and federal regulations. For the 105th Congress, Morgan was named Vice Chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee's Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. In addition, Morgan serves on its Subcommittee on Health and the Subcommittee on Energy.
Morning, I'm Johnny Satterfield. Morgan is a graduate of Salem's Andrew Lewis High School and an honors graduate of Emory and Henry College. After completing studies at Washington and Lee University School of Law, Morgan returned to Southwest Virginia, where he practiced law for nearly 3 decades. Morgan is married to Hillary, and together they have 3 children. Congressman Morgan Griffith. Prior to his election of the U.S. House of Representatives, Morgan served as a member of the Virginia House of Delegates from 1994 to 2011, where he represented the 8th District. In 2000, Morgan was elected to House of Majority Leader and the first Republican in Virginia history to hold that position.
That's the library, right?
Yes.
It's Penny.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. That was a great job. I appreciate it very much. Well, this is a little bit of an experiment for everybody. I am getting ready to, in my Washington, D.C. office, and we're putting in the equipment and so forth to do something similar. We're going to do what we call Facebook Live Town Halls. That'll be down the road. But this is actually my first experience dealing with the mic on the table and the camera, and not actually being able to see the folks that I'm talking to, or except for, of course, being on telephone, but having them be able to see me. I know that there's some opportunities to have some questions asked and so forth. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. Feel free to ask away, but I am excited about trying to use modern technology, just as you all are showing today that you can have the entire school system hooked up, and we're operating here out of the library. We're going to try to be able to talk to lots of folks in the district, in the 9th Congressional District, using similar technology in just a few weeks. Now, for those of you who don't know, the 9th District stretches from Lee County all the way up to Covington, Salem, which is right on the edge of Roanoke City, and to the city of Martinsville. So it's a fairly large district. The district is bigger than the state of New Jersey, and it takes a lot of miles on the highway, which is one of the reasons why we're trying to make sure that we're using the electronic means, the digital means of communicating with constituents. So I'm glad to be with you all here today in Lee County and talking to lots of folks that I can't see, but that I know are out there watching. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll have to turn it over to my expert here. How do we do the questions? Are we ready?
Yes. Let me switch between classrooms and see who's got, unmute them. Okay, Miss Edwards. Miss Edwards, do your students have some questions they would like to ask Congressman Griffith?
Now, one of the things about new technologies is that sometimes they don't work exactly the way you hope they will, but the bottom line is that this is all part of the learning curve. This is normal. What we're going to do in my digital town halls, as we might call them, or my Facebook Live town halls, is we're going to run a couple of beta tests first, because we expect this very same thing, type of thing to happen. And so we're going to run some tests first. Then we're going to hope that when we go and do it district-wide, that we'll have it down. But anytime you're using new technologies, there's always going to be a little bump in the road from time to time.
Okay.
Now they're bound. We got her. All right. So.
Hello, I'm Anna Cox from Kennington Middle School, and my question is, we were learning about the federal government, and we want to know, where does the government of Virginia bank from?
Where does the government of Virginia do what?
Bank from.
Bank.
Oh, where's the vet? I have been out of the state system now for 7 sessions. My recollection is that we used to use SunTrust as the bank. They may have switched, because what the state will do from time to time is they'll switch the bank that they use for their money.
Like now, they put them down where and look around there.
But if they will switch where they use it from one bank to another based on competitive rates and where they can get the best deal for the taxpayers.
Somebody there, yeah, right now, but then.
Now,
That's one of them.
do you know why and I'll just answer it as if you say no. Do you know why the state, why banks would want to have the state's business? Because the state collects so much money in taxes that, based on holding on to that money for just a little bit of time even, the bank can make money, lend that money out, or lend a portion of that money out, and draw interest off the money that's deposited by the state. So that's why the state can negotiate a pretty good deal for the taxpayer, because it's a big chunk of money.
And they're looking at you and shaking their head. So I
Okay.
know you can't see them. Okay.
All right.
So Dryden Elementary says they have a question. So
All
let
right.
me unmute them. And okay.
And I hope they're having fun. I am. It's a learning curve for me. So
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all letting me experiment with you.
All right, Dryden, you ready? You got a question? Talk loud. I can't hear you.
You have to click unmute. My name is Sarah.
Or we can hear you.
I can turn it and you can see it a little bit. Oh, I can't hear her now.
Oh, we lost her.
I can't hear her now, Miss
Heather.
Riggs.
This is Sarah Osborne, and she is asking a question about what is one of the most important bills that you're working on getting passed into law right now?
Well, one of the things that I'm working on in particular is healthcare in the United States. I do serve on energy and commerce. Many people don't realize that the commerce includes health and health insurance. And so, as we're talking about, you hear it all in the news about repeal and replace. All of the policy related to healthcare comes through the committee that I serve on, the Health Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce. And so we've been spending a lot of time trying to make sure that we can fix our health system to make it less expensive and more available to as many folks as possible. And so we've been working on that. The other side of that debate has to do with how you pay for it. And that committee is the Ways and Means Committee. I don't serve on that committee. So you've got the two parts, and sometimes we have to come together and figure out how we mesh those two. But we're working on healthcare. This morning, as a part of healthcare, I was over visiting Black Lung Clinic here in the county and trying to figure out what we can do to help those folks who have black lung. We also work on a lot of other issues. We're going to have some tax reform this year, and we're looking at issues related to making it so coal more effectively in the United States, and trying to figure out what we can do to help those folks.
All right, let me see if we have one more. I have another question.
Sure.
Does Dryden have any more questions? Do you have another question you can ask? Okay, they are, all their hands are going up.
There you go. That's what I like to see.
And they said, thank you. We are glad that you are working on that for us.
All right. I appreciate that.
He's coming.
All right.
Miss Riggs, go ahead. Wait, we didn't hear it. Okay, can you say it again?
Draco is here, and he's wondering what Congressman Griffith believes is the most important law we have right now. That's a tough question, I'm sure.
The most important law that we have right now, I would have to say, is actually the Constitution itself, because that establishes the God-given rights. The founders wanted to make sure the God-given rights were placed into the Constitution as being protected from the centralized government. They wanted to make sure that the states retained some of their authority. They wanted to make sure that we had our rights to take the right to free speech, the right to get together whenever we wanted to petition our government, the right to bear firearms, the right to worship in the way that we choose, that we wouldn't have a government established religion, but that everybody could practice their religion as they saw fit without having to be taxed or punished for doing so. And so I think if you ask what's the most important, it would be the Constitution itself, particularly the Bill of Rights. And it's interesting, a lot of people don't remember this, but the United States Constitution would not have been ratified and Virginia would not have joined the Union but for the Bill of Rights being added. That's why it's the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights, because Virginia would not ratify that Constitution without those rights in the Constitution being recognized as having been granted, in many cases having been granted by God, and that the government serves the people and not the other way around. So I think that's probably your most important law out there.
Okay, I think we have, thank you, Dryden. We have another question from Pennington Middle School, so I'm going to get them back up here.
All right. Now I looked at my watch a minute ago, and that's because I'm getting a text message in. It wasn't that I'm running out of
So
time.
I looked, I thought,
I've got plenty of time, but you know, as a part of that learning technology, and I have a real problem with it. My wife is always fussing at me because, you know, my watch buzzes and I'm going to want to look at it. So, you know,
let me make sure.
she told Michelle yesterday, Michelle's my district director, she said, take that thing away from him. But it's part of staying in touch with lots of different folks and doing a lot of different things. Oh, I can see all kinds of people. Whoop, back to my ugly face. All right.
Oh, you can see there. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can get, okay, Pennington, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you have another question?
Yes.
My name is Michael Martin, and my question is, what is your opinion on President Trump?
The question, well, I guess don't need to repeat because everybody's watching it. But my opinion on President Trump is I think he's trying to follow through on the promises that he made to the American people in the campaign last year. You know, I wish he wouldn't do as much with technology. He tweets too much, in my opinion. I think he needs to tone that down a little bit. But I do think he's trying to do what he promised the American people. And so you're seeing legislation coming out of the House and the Senate, and he's signing it. You're seeing some of his directions to the federal government, the agencies that he runs as the president and the head of the executive branch, the administrative branch of government. You're seeing him do what he said he was going to do during the campaign. I think that's important because when, you know, too often people, you know, go into office and they make all these promises. They're going to do this as president. They're going to do that. And then they change course the day they get there. I think President Trump is going to work very hard to keep his promises. And so in that sense, I'm very appreciative. He and I will not always agree. And like I said, I wish he'd stop some of the tweets. You know, you got to pick and choose your battles. And unfortunately right now he seems to want to battle everything. And I don't think he can do that, but he is living up to what he said he would do. And he's going to try to make America great again. And I certainly will work with him to do those things that will bring us jobs.
Okay, let me switch back. Do y'all have another question before I see if another classroom has a question?
No, thank you. I think we're good.
You're good? Okay.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And that was Pennington. So, okay, Dryden wants us to come back there. Dryden's must have some political teachers in there wanting to get them students. All right, let me switch back. All right, Dryden, go ahead.
I think we actually have some political students rather than teachers. This is Alana, and she's actually wanting to know something about coal jobs in her area. I'll see if you can hear what she has to ask.
I was wondering, what do you do to get coal jobs in our area?
Well, what we're trying to do is to make the market understand, the worldwide market, but particularly in the United States, understand that you can use coal effectively. Right now, there has been an uptick in metallurgical coal sales around the world as the economy improves. This is one of the things that President Trump is working on, is trying to make our economy better. As the economy gets better, we'll see sales of metallurgical coal go up. But because of the regulations that were placed on coal over the last number of years, we have seen a lot of people are afraid to use coal right now. They're afraid to build a new facility that uses coal for anything, whether it be a factory needing energy or needing heat, all the way to, you know, electric power generation units. And so that has really hurt the steam coal industry. What we're hoping to do is to roll back some of those regulations over the next few years, try to make them more reasonable. We want to protect our water and our air. But what you saw already is President Trump signed a bill that we have a thing called the Congressional Review Act. If a regulation has not gone into effect more than 60 days, and those are legislative days, and it's, we have everything in DC is different. So it's not calendar days, it's legislative days. That means the days that the House and the Senate are in session. If it's not more than 60 days at the end of the term of a president, you then have 75 days in the term of the next president to go back and review those regulations and say, wait a minute, we don't want that, and we can overturn those regulations. And so last week, I joined the President of the United States in the Oval Office as he was signing a bill that would roll back one of those regulations that has hurt coal jobs, and hopefully that will help stabilize the market a little bit and give people the understanding that we're going to take a look at a lot of these regulations, make sure they make sense overall for the American people, and make sure that that helps us bring back coal jobs. We will not get them all back that we have lost over the last 8-10 years, but we should be able to revive the coal industry to some extent and put some people back to work, and that will help our economy in this region.
Okay, thank you, Dryden. We're going to go to Jonesville Middle now. And then I'll come back to you if the congressman has some more time. Okay, let me go to another school and give them a chance to ask a question.
And Michelle tells me we have about 10 more minutes. Thank
Okay.
you.
I was trying to keep track here. All right, now Jonesville's got in. They've been having a hard time getting in. So go ahead, Jonesville.
I'm still watching Dryden. Oh, there we go. We switched.
I can't hear you. You're not muted.
He's not.
There he is.
There you go. My name is Jacob Jenkins, and I want to know how are we going to get a hospital to our area?
Question is how we're going to get a hospital in our area. One of the things that we need to do, as we were just talking about, is increase the number of coal jobs. It's really interesting. Now, there were a number of reasons that the hospital closed down, but they stated several of them. One was the reimbursement setup that came through with the new Obamacare plan, and one of them was that so many coal jobs were lost that you didn't have as many people with insurance. And remember, it's not just the jobs in the mine, it's all the folks that are supplying goods to the mine and so forth, and people selling cars to the mine, etc. Those folks usually had employer-paid health insurance, and that helped the hospital a lot. There are efforts that are being made. The state legislators, Terry Kilgore, Senator Carrico, and others, along with myself, have been working on a number of projects, but there are efforts being made to make sure that we can bring a hospital back in. I've been talking with a lot of the business leaders over the last year or so, and we believe that that we're in good shape and that it's going to happen. But that's how you do it. You've got to come up with a new formula that works for the county, but also if you increase the number of jobs and you have more people with employer-paid health insurance, that helps make the hospital be able to pay its bills so it can stay open.
Okay, let me switch back. I think they had one more question.
We have one question about broadband.
Okay.
Okay.
My name's Hannah Long, and we want to know how it will expand and help our schools.
Okay. The question is expansion of broadband, and you know, it's not never easy. The mountains make it a lot harder, and so what we're looking at is we're doing a lot of different things. I've encouraged the president in a letter that I sent about 2 weeks ago. I'm looking over at Michelle because I lose track of time. I'm just always out doing stuff. But I believe it was about 2 weeks ago we sent a letter to the president if he's going to do an infrastructure plan to make sure that he includes broadband. If we have a new employer coming in, it makes sense to lay cable wire to that facility to do that type of broadband. But for most of us, we need to do wireless broadband. And the reason is you can't lay wire in enough nooks and crannies in the mountains of Southwest Virginia. When you look at the territory and the terrain, wireless is going to work a lot better. It will help us get the broadband quicker. And they're working on all kinds of technological fixes that will help us as well. And so we're looking forward to that. But basically, we're going to look at new ways. If the federal government has an infrastructure program, I'm hoping we can get some money there. We also have had a number of new towers put up within the last year or two, which we helped with. And also, some of those have to be placed into the national forest. And so we had to help with that as well. And so we're trying to make sure that we can get as much wireless broadband out there as we can.
Okay, I think Lehigh might have a question. Do you have
All
time
right.
for one
Yes,
or two
ma'am.
more
Okay.
questions? Okay, let me get them.
It's all up to the mean Michelle because I'd stay here and answer questions all day, but her job is to keep me on track on as far as the schedule goes, and so she has to sometimes yank me away. Yes, sir.
All right, let me get him.
Okay, you're not on yet.
No, their microphone won't unmute. She might have to do it. Stephanie, if you can hear me, see if you can unmute your mic on your end. It's not given. Can you?
It's not letting.
Yeah, we're ready. There you go.
Yes, I'm Jared Massingill from Lehigh. I was wondering if you have met with President Trump about the immigration policies.
I have not met with President Trump about the immigration policies. And we were talking about the committee structure, and I think it's probably important that everybody understand how Congress works. I'm not saying it's the right way, but it's the way it works. Every committee has certain jurisdiction, and so we're tackling in my committee energy issues and healthcare issues. Congressman Bob Goodlatte, who is just to the north of our district, he is from Virginia. He represents that area, but he also serves as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and they have jurisdiction over immigration. I believe that he has met with President Trump on those issues, but I have not. Obviously, we're paying close attention to it, and I think there needs to be a great deal of reform in our legal immigration system, but I do believe that people need to come here legally. We want immigrants to come, but we want them to come here legally. And if they're coming from dangerous parts of the world where we know there are people who want to blow up things or cause disruption in our system, we need to make sure that they're properly vetted, that we have a good system. And let me touch on that for just a second, because it just sometimes you think that they're doing these things and they aren't. The lady who was involved with the San Bernardino shooting, the wife in that situation, she filled out the application, she put down an address, and they let her come into the United States. That's all she had to do. Nobody ever talked with her from the embassy. Nobody ever asked her pointed questions. Nobody went to check her address. Turns out it does exist, but it's in an industrial area. It's not even a residential area. There's no house there. Nobody checked into her background, whether or not she was radicalized. She was. There was evidence now that when you go back and look at it after the fact that she was radicalized. And one of my Democrat colleagues said in a meeting, well, why didn't they just put her on a polygraph? Now, I will tell you that the lie detector or polygraph machine is not always effective. So I wouldn't want to make that the only criteria. But what happens in many cases is people who want to do harm, who want to do bad things, don't want to take a polygraph because they're afraid we'll find out about it. Simple little things like that should be instituted in our embassies, particularly in those high-risk areas, to make sure that before we say to somebody, come on in, that we're not inviting somebody in who wants to shoot up government workers in San Bernardino or blow up something somewhere or try to attack our electric grid. These are things that I think we have to do to protect our own country. And while I feel very bad about the Syrian refugees, and I think we should be doing some humanitarian things in those refugee camps, and when we get a good vetting process in, we should be letting a lot of those refugees in no matter what their religious background. Remember I talked about the Bill of Rights earlier? We're not going to do a litmus test based on religion. But when you've got people who want to destroy the United States, want to blow up things, want to kill Americans, I think we have an obligation to try to make sure that we're getting it right and vetting those people before we just let them in. Just because they filled out a form doesn't mean that they're safe to come in.
Okay, let me see if they had one. I think they're still on. Do you have one more question, Stephanie?
No, that's it.
Time for.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's
Thank you.
it. So if you just, wanted to, we kept you on schedule. So
Okay.
you can.
Well, let me say this again. I appreciate doing this, the digital, and we talked about broadband a little bit. I think this is a way that we can expand our ability to learn and expand our concepts. There's one caveat that I would put in there that we have to be careful of, and that is I have that problem as my wife, I was telling you, my children, and I have a 16-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. They're always on their computers, but I'm standing here with all these great books behind me. Reading books is still important. It's not all going to be on digital. So don't give up all the old ways just to have the digital ways. Get out there and start a book today. Anyway, thanks a lot. Appreciate having this opportunity.
Thank you.